My chosen ones, starseeds and neurodivergent. Going on walks is not a joke to me. Even in the rain, I am here outside, trying to make things happen. Just remember, I wouldn't tell you to do something that I don't do. Carry on.
Hello, my chosen ones, starseeds and neurodivergents. I hope you're doing very well today. Today, we're going to be talking about the chosen one's learning curve. You might be wondering, what is the chosen one's learning curve? Just give me a second and I will explain. You find yourself as a young toddler running around like a free spirit. I don't even think that anyone ever saw a frown on your face. Ever. You fell down, you got right back up, and sprinted with joy. That's how you respond into this place. As you became a little older, around ages 8 or 9, for some odd reason, you just despised school. You never cared for it. You wondered why everyone had to go to an institution to learn stupid numbers and letters. Your main concern was about exploring the natural world. So, as a chosen one starseed and neurodivergent, you decided not to take school seriously. Every test that they gave you, you barely tried, but always passed for some odd reason. As you grew older in life, it dawned on you that you never really tried and you were naturally gifted when it came to education. But you were just more interested in the natural world that God's source created for you. You decided to go to the river instead of going to class. You decided to go climb trees instead of going to class. You decided that there just are better things for you to be doing than to go into class. Meanwhile, everyone was in the institution learning their ABCs and 1, 2, 3s. You were out there in the real world learning from the school of the hard knocks. You climbed trees and injured yourself. You tried to swim and nearly drowned a few times, but eventually you got it. You took chances around the old people and tried to play checkers with them because you were determined to beat them. Unknowingly to yourself, the level of motivation you had, you were just having fun and trying to explore the world that God's source created. Now, that's where the learning curve actually kicked in. Your adventures like Tom Sawyer and Huckleberry Finn gave you real life experience and taught you a lot of life lessons, while everyone was inside of the classroom only learning theory. You were actually outside planting tomato trees and watching them grow. Fast forward in time, it seems all those lessons have finally caught up to you, and you realize that you are naturally way above your peers. You just never put your foot fully on the throttle. And that's how you know you're a starseed, chosen one, or neurodivergent. Eventually, you started to add and compound your natural knowledge and thirst for everything around you, and you started to become well-rounded. The people around you wondered, how did you progress so fast? But in reality, you were just addicted to the school of the hard knocks. Unfortunately, you had to learn the hard way, but you learned quickly, and now it's paying off in the future. It's amazing that by the time you were 16, you didn't know how to type on a computer without looking at your hands, but you knew a whole map of the wilderness in a game called RuneScape. You are also very interested in different music, and you're heavily interested in music manipulation. Things were so easy for you that you tried to do something difficult, and unfortunately, Someone decided to remove you out of that difficult situation because they thought it was too hard for you. But in reality, you were actually looking forward to it. By the time you became an adult, you had already knew how to drive a car because you decided to learn on your own. You had already knew how to iron your clothes. You had already knew how to wash and fold your laundry. You had already knew how to make your bed and every basic thing that a person who is a full adult can do. Unfortunately, many people in your group were not doing these things, and it just seems like you had an edge over them, but in reality, you were still going through the school of hard knocks. When you fully embraced your adulthood, you started to travel and realize that there's so much around the world that you can enjoy. You started seeing different cultures, different people, and they treated you differently, not like the people you knew from back home. You learned new skills. You learned how to snowboard. You learned how to eat with chopsticks. You learned how to dance bachata and so much more because you were just interested in learning and enjoying what God source put here for us to enjoy. Sometimes you wonder, is there even a thing that you can't do because you still went out of your way to drive a manual car? You watch your parents when you were younger cook food every day, but you never attempted. Then you became an adult and you decided, well, let me give it a try. Maybe it's going to help me save some money from spending all that money on fast food. Then you realize how easy it is. The first person who tasted it wondered if you've been cooking for years. You say no, you just started. But in reality, you were. When you were young, you had to come up with genius ways to make food. Sometimes you would make ramen a special way. Sometimes you would put tuna in it. Sometimes you would eat different types of fruits to curb the hunger. So, as an adult, you just learned that all these things are just simply a translation of what you already know, and you applied it. All of a sudden, you're a very good cook, and someone gave you the best compliment you've ever heard, and they said that it falls off the bone. Ever since that point, you keep on learning more and more and pushing yourself forward so you can keep understanding the laws of this matrix. While you're still here traversing the matrix and going through the school of hard knocks, you forced yourself to work in environments where you're around a team. It taught you how to build your team leading skills. You also made sure you put yourself around knowledgeable people who knew a little bit about finance, who taught you as much as they could. Eventually, your learning curve went parabolic. In your mind, you just think that you're just a normal person and this is normal knowledge that people seek. But after you got hit with the lightning bolt of God's source, you realize that you are a chosen one and you have all these abilities and this natural thirst to keep going and keep persevering. With that being said, my starseeds, chosen ones, and neurodivergents, this is the chosen ones learning curve. Everything we learn from the time we were children, we can easily translate them into adulthood and use it as a means to propel ourselves forward. As it seems, across the board, next to everyone else, we don't seem like we carry much weight. But if you actually look behind the mirror, you can see that we are carrying mountains. See you in the next one, chosen ones. Peace.